Drama awaits, only on Echoes of Love. The adventure begins in Korea, specifically in Seoul, with a young man from a wealthy and influential family named Jack. He was on the phone with his assistant Lee Jean, who informed him that his flight to Jakarta was approaching and that he needed to head to the airport. Jack got into his car and drove there. 2 months later, in Jakarta, we see Jack working in a famous restaurant owned by a well-known chef named Arif. The restaurant was part of the hotel chain owned by Lee Jack's family, but no one knew his true identity or that he belonged to a rich family. At that time, Jack seemed confused. He didn't even know how to peel shrimp, so Tommy, Chef Arif's assistant, mocked him, saying that he was a beginner who didn't know how to do anything, wondering how someone like him ended up working in their kitchen. At that moment, Maya, Jack's colleague, saw what happened. She went over to him and tried to help, showing him how to peel shrimp properly. Jack thanked her for her help. Soon after, Chef Arif gathered everyone and told them that on Wednesday there would be an important event. Mark Davis, a member of the board, would be visiting the hotel with his wife to celebrate his birthday. They learned that Mark was coming all the way from America specifically to taste Chef Arif's dishes, so Arif wanted everyone to give their best and prepare the finest recipes Mark would ever taste. He told them he had prepared 12 dishes along with some new recipes, and that everything had to be absolutely perfect. No mistakes would be tolerated for such an important occasion, especially since their kitchen was known for excellence. He also announced that the competition for the position of meat chef had begun, and whoever created a distinctive dish would have it added to the restaurant's menu and win the position. Later, Arif spoke with Tommy, asking him who he thought would win the challenge. Tommy said Charles was ideal, but Maya was more skilled in artistic execution. They also learned that Mark had brought a chef from London with him, but Arif wasn't worried. He was confident in his own abilities and in his team's. Meanwhile, Maya was sitting with her colleagues and overheard them talking about Jack, that he had come from Korea and had been working there for 2 months, but he wasn't very skilled and didn't seem to know how to do anything. Strangely, they also said he came from a wealthy family and might be hiding from a crime he had committed. Maya told them to stop talking about him that way and to give him a chance to prove himself, since he was still new and perhaps withdrawn because he was in a new country and hadn't adapted yet. At that moment, Maya received a message from a debt collector, which made her anxious. She was in heavy debt and didn't know how she would repay it. That was why she wanted to compete for the promotion with all her strength. It was her only chance to pay off what she owed. We learned that her debt came from her mother's illness and the cost of her treatment. Then Maya was surprised to learn that the promotion competition required each chef to have a partner. She asked her friend to team up with her, but the friend said she had already partnered with Christine. Maya felt hopeless until she noticed Jack was alone and didn't have a partner, so she decided to be his. Tommy came and told them they had only 1 hour to complete their assigned dish, and everyone rushed to start cooking within the time limit. Maya was frustrated to see that her colleagues had already taken all the necessary ingredients, but Jack managed to find a few simple ones, which made her happy, and the two began working together. When Chef Arif came to taste the dishes, he liked Maya's dish but said it lacked seasoning, so she lost the challenge. Later, she went to the bathroom crying, upset over her failure. When she came out, she found Jack waiting for her. He told her that even though they had lost, their dish was special and she shouldn't be sad or give up. He then took her outside, where he made her sit with the dogs because he knew she loved them. In that moment, Maya told him that her mother had been sick and passed away, that she loved her deeply, and that she had learned everything about cooking from her. Her mother was the reason she loved the kitchen and the art of food. She told him that when she was in the Philippines, she had a Korean friend, and when she saw him, he reminded her of that friend. Jack asked if they had been close, and she hesitated, saying she didn't really remember because they were very young back then. Then she asked him to leave because it was getting late. Later, Jack called his assistant and laughed, saying he had put him in a kitchen even though he couldn't make a cup of tea. He told him he had gotten stuck peeling shrimp. The assistant replied that this was the perfect place for him to hide as long as he wanted. He then asked about Maya, wondering if Jack had confessed his love to her yet. Jack said that Maya still didn't remember him and didn't know who he really was, that she didn't realize he was her Korean childhood friend, and that he wanted her to love him for who he truly was before discovering his identity. The assistant asked how long he intended to keep this up. It had already been 2 months. Jack replied that he still didn't know. The next day in the kitchen, everyone was busy preparing the dishes that would be served to Mark, his wife, and their guests. Suddenly, Arif discovered that the ingredients delivered that morning had spoiled due to the weather. He decided to change the dish he had planned to serve and asked Maya to prepare the one she made during the challenge, reminding her to adjust the seasoning and telling her he trusted her to fix the problem they were facing. Suddenly, Mark and his guests entered the kitchen. Arif went to greet them, and at that moment, Jack froze and hid. Maya was puzzled by his reaction. It turned out that Jack was hiding because Mark had arrived with Chai, a famous food critic in Korea who knew Jack very well. When the dish was finished, Arif took it himself to present to Mark and his guests. But Jack suddenly told Maya that a shrimp shell had fallen into the dish. Maya was shocked and argued with him, upset that he hadn't told her before the dish was served. When Mark and his guests tasted the food, they were delighted and applauded Arif. But suddenly, Mark's wife began to argue and pulled a shrimp shell out of her mouth. Arif was stunned when he saw it, and his eyes filled with anger. Later, Chef Arif sat down with Maya and blamed her for what happened, saying he had trusted her and asking if this was the price of that trust. Maya stood before him silently, embarrassed and sad, apologizing for what had happened. But Arif was still furious and unsure how to fix the situation. He asked her and Jack who had been responsible for peeling the shrimp. Jack admitted it was him and that the mistake was his. Arif angrily shouted that he was useless, like rotten vegetables in the kitchen. Jack kept his composure, but memories of his childhood flashed before him, memories of feeling worthless and unseen by his family. At that moment, Arif told Jack to leave, but Maya interrupted, saying the mistake was hers because she was the team leader. She said she had learned that a true leader always takes responsibility for her team's errors, and if she couldn't do that now, she didn't deserve to be a skilled chef. Jack was upset for her, but Arif told them both to return to their work, saying he would discuss what would happen next with management later. Afterward, Jack tried to talk to Maya and apologize, but she responded sadly, telling him she didn't want to talk right now, and then she walked away. That evening, Lee Jean, Jack's assistant, came to visit him and was surprised to find him home early. Jack told him it had been a bad day and asked why he had come without calling first. He told him that there was an emergency, and that everyone had gone crazy looking for him. He explained that he had received countless calls and messages, and that everyone kept asking about his whereabouts because they were sure he knew where he was. He informed him that his family wanted him to sign a document to waive his right to the inheritance, but his father wanted him, specifically, to be his successor. That was what had driven his half-brothers insane. Jack asked him to make his father change the will, but Lee Jean told him he would have to come in person and meet his father to ask for that himself. Jack laughed sarcastically, saying that his father always liked to make things complicated. It was clear that Jack was irritated by his father and had no desire to listen to him or talk to him at all. Lee Jean then left, but before he went, he told Jack that he had booked him a room at his own hotel, and informed him that a cooking competition would be held at the end of the month in Jakarta, sponsored by their company. He reminded him that the company belonged to him and to no one else, and that he shouldn't give everything up so easily. He had to fight for what was rightfully his. At the same time, Maya was browsing the internet, reading articles about cooking skills. The next day, she spoke with Chef Arif and asked him to give her just one chance to prepare the menu for Mark's dinner night. But Arif refused, especially after what had happened the night before. He told her that she had disappointed him, as he could have expected a mistake from any other chef, but not from her. Maya apologized and said she was ready to make up for it and fix what had happened. She told him she would prepare dishes based on the kabul fruit. Arif was surprised and told her that this fruit was extremely hard to find, as it wasn't available in the market. Maya was shocked, she hadn't known that. Still, she tried again to convince him, and at last he agreed, but warned her not to make any more mistakes. Maya thanked him with great joy. Later, her debt collector approached her and told her that Rodolfo, the man she owed money to, had sent a message through them saying that the interest had increased due to her late payments. Maya was shocked and told them that her aunt had needed the money, and that her monthly income wouldn't allow her to pay the extra amount. She realized she would have to find a way to pay soon, or both she and her aunt would be in serious trouble. At that moment, Jack arrived and asked Maya if she was having a problem. She told him she was fine and asked if he needed anything. He told her that he'd overheard her conversation with Arif and wanted to help her find the Kabul fruit. But Maya refused, saying she preferred to look for it herself. Jack stepped back, feeling that everything happening was his fault to begin with. Later, Jack ran into Chai by chance. She spoke with him and asked why he had disappeared, telling him that everyone in Seoul was looking for him. She added that she knew Maya and that Maya worked for him. Maya was shocked by what she heard and didn't understand what was going on. Jack was extremely nervous and didn't know what to do. Maya left, realizing that he must be connected to that woman somehow. After that, Jack called Lee Jean and asked for his help, saying that Chai had definitely seen him and wouldn't stay silent. She would tell everyone where he was. Meanwhile, Maya was wandering through the market searching for the Kabul fruit, but to no avail. Everyone told her that it was almost impossible to find, since people believed that planting a Kabul tree brought a curse. Maya found that superstition strange. A little while later, Jack appeared and surprised Maya, telling her he was determined to help her. She looked very happy, and they spent a long time searching together in the market, but still couldn't find the fruit. Maya began to lose hope, and when food was served, she sat down and ate happily, remembering her mother, because this was the same dish she used to share with her. At that moment, Jack noticed a small boy being bullied, so he went over to help him and bought him some ice cream. While the boy listened to their conversation about the Kabul fruit, he asked to see a picture of it. When he saw it, he said he'd seen plenty of those at his neighbor's house. Jack and Maya were thrilled and asked him to take them there. When they arrived, they found a fierce guard dog beside the fruit tree. The boy got scared and ran away, leaving the two of them alone. Jack began thinking of a way to get closer to the tree, but suddenly the dog lunged at them. Jack panicked and ran, while Maya stayed where she was and managed to calm the dog down and play with it. Afterward, Jack and Maya sat together and talked. Jack told her that he had some problems in Korea, which was why he had decided to travel. He asked her why she had left the Philippines for Indonesia. She told him that when she heard Chef Arif was looking for cooks for his restaurant, she got excited and joined his team because she needed a stable income. Her debts had piled up after her mother's illness, and now she had to work harder than ever to pay them off. At the same time, Chai was talking with Lee Jean. He asked if she had told Jack's family that she had seen him there. She said she had. Lee Jean immediately left in a hurry. The next day, Maya had finished her recipe and let Chef Arif taste it. He liked it, but said the dish was too ordinary. Maya told him that was intentional. She wanted it to be traditional, something that carried the spirit of the local culture. Arif admired the idea and smiled at her approvingly, which made Jack feel jealous. Maya later presented the dish to Mark and his wife. Mark's wife loved it and said she had always wanted to taste the Kabul fruit. Mark thanked Chef Arif for his thoughtfulness. At that moment, Arif felt proud of Maya, and Jack's jealousy grew stronger. Afterward, Maya spoke to Arif and asked him to let her participate in the cooking competition, because she needed the hotel to cover her registration fee. Arif told her that the competition's standards were extremely high and that he didn't want her to be upset when she got rejected, as she still needed a lot of time to reach that level. Maya was shocked by his words. The next day, Jack was furious that Arif had discouraged Maya. He told her that Arif was selfish and afraid she might surpass him and outshine him. But Maya insisted that she truly still had much to learn. Jack told her she was naive, and decided to confront Arif himself, accusing him of stealing Maya's work and letting Mark thank him as if he were the one who made the recipe. Arif became very angry. At that moment, hotel security came in and informed them that a message had arrived from the Korean regional office saying they were searching for Jack. Jack was shocked, and Lee Jean triggered the fire alarm to help him escape. Chaos broke out as everyone started running. Later, Maya met with Rodolfo, who told her that he had gone to her aunt's house because of her debts. Maya was distressed and didn't know what to do. Her colleague reminded her of the competition, saying that if she won, she could pay off her debts with the prize money. Meanwhile, Li Jin sat with Arif and told him that Jack was his nephew, a reckless young man who had suddenly run away, and that their family was very influential in Korea. He said he was the one who had reported Jack missing because he hadn't known where he'd gone. Then Li Jin forced Jack to apologize to Arif for what he'd said. Jack reluctantly did so, and Arif accepted his apology. He decided to train Jack to become a skilled, distinguished chef like the others. After that, Stella began to suspect that Jack was from a wealthy family. Jack asked if that really mattered to her. She told him she only wanted to help Maya, who was drowning in debt, with the interest growing every day. She was afraid something might happen to Maya's aunt from all the stress and sadness, and that Maya wouldn't be able to live alone if that happened. Later, Jack met with Li Jin again. Li Jin told him he was astonished by all his lies and by how well he played his role in front of Arif. Jack replied that Li Jin was the one who had lied to his family, telling them he was in Paris for a vacation. Then Li Jin asked him how long he planned to stay here. Jack realizes that he still hasn't told Maya who he really is and that he's waiting for the right time to reveal the truth to her. The next day, Maya calls her aunt to check on her, and her aunt complains again about the debts. At that moment, Jack and Stella come in and tell her that they've decided to help her by selling her food to the hotel staff so she can raise money to pay the competition's entry fee. Maya feels happy that they care enough to help her, but she gets upset with Stella for telling Jack about the debts and warns her not to share her personal problems with anyone again. Jack tries to calm her down, explaining that they only wanted to help and stand by her side. The next day, Maya starts preparing the food she'll sell to the employees. One of them asks her to make large portions because she never has time to cook after work. Day by day, the small project grows, and Maya begins to earn a real profit, just as Stella and Jack had predicted. One day, Maya decides to sit with them and apologize for how she acted earlier, saying she hadn't meant to reject their help. Then she surprises Stella by cooking her favorite dish. Stella is thrilled and takes it happily to eat, while Maya talks to Jack, telling him that she still needs his help, if he's still willing. He agrees and says he wants to be there for her, which makes Maya wonder why he's always so kind to her. Jack tells her that she's been kind to him ever since the first day he came into the kitchen. The next day, Jack comes to Maya with a lot of food supplies and tells her he convinced Sam, the storage manager, to give him the leftover fresh food that the kitchen usually throws away each day. That way, Maya's costs will drop significantly. Then Jack and Stella surprise Maya with a huge number of new orders. She's thrilled, and we see Maya, Jack, and Stella working tirelessly as the requests keep pouring in. Another day, Jack and Maya talk about their families. Maya tells him about her mother and the special dishes she used to make, and Jack opens up about his mother, saying he still can't forgive himself because he should have protected her from harm. Maya tells him that when her own mother passed away, she also wanted to blame the hospital, the doctors, and even her relatives who didn't care, but later she realized that to live peacefully, she had to forgive. After that, Maya becomes anxious because she still hasn't gathered enough money to pay the competition fee. When Jack learns that Rodolfo has been harassing her and her aunt every day, he grows furious. Just then, Maya gets a call from her aunt and steps away to answer it. Stella tells Jack that Maya's aunt has a heart condition and that Rodolfo is about to throw her out of her home. The next day, Chef Arif speaks to Maya and tells her he's heard rumors that one of the chefs has been selling food to hotel staff, which is strictly forbidden. Maya is stunned and starts to panic, especially when Arif reminds her that he trusts her deeply, and that if she hears anything about the issue, she must tell him immediately. Later, Jack goes to confront Rodolfo, accompanied by Li Jin. When Rodolfo sees him, he becomes greedy and demands more money. Jack loses his temper, attacks him, and forces him to sign a document declaring that Maya has repaid all her debts. Then Jack leaves the money for the debt and warns Rodolfo that if he ever approaches Maya or her aunt again, he'll make him regret it. The next day, Stella notices the wound on Jack's hand. He lies and tells her he cut himself with a knife. At that same time, a hotel security guard spots Jack and rushes to inform Chef Arif. Meanwhile, Arif sees Maya and tells her that she never ceases to impress him, that he sees a reflection of himself in her. Maya thanks him for his encouragement, and he decides to promote her. Maya is overjoyed and hugs him in gratitude. At that exact moment, Jack, burning with jealousy, drops the trays he's carrying, drawing everyone's attention. Arif and Maya turn toward him. When Jack tries to escape with the food he's been selling, he bumps into hotel security, who confiscate the meals. The guards inform Arif that Jack and Maya have been selling food to employees. Arif is shocked to learn Maya was involved. Furious, Arif yells at both of them, demanding to know whose idea it was. They both answer at once, each taking the blame. But Jack insists it was his idea, only for Maya to interrupt and say she was the one who cooked everything. Arif is devastated, unable to believe that Maya, whom he trusted so much, would do this. Maya apologizes, admitting she should have been honest with him from the start. Jack is heartbroken when he realizes that Maya will bear the full blame since she's now in a higher position after her promotion. He tries to explain to Arif that it was all his fault, that Maya didn't want to do it at first and that he pressured her. Then Jack decides to resign so that Maya won't be punished, and he walks away. Maya is deeply saddened. Arif tells her that there's no place for liars in his kitchen, and she realizes she's been fired. She quietly gathers her things, and her colleagues surprise her by gifting her a set of knives as a keepsake, telling her how much they appreciated her kindness and helpfulness. Maya is touched by their love and encouragement, which gives her hope to continue and compete in the contest. Later, Jack apologizes to her sadly. She hugs him, crying in heartbreak, saying she can't believe that the same day she got promoted is the day she got fired. Jack comforts her and tells her not to blame herself. Maya hugs him again, grateful to have someone like him by her side. The next day, Jack finds Maya and Stella cooking together. Maya notices the wound on Jack's hand and insists on cleaning it for him. Just then, she receives a message from the competition committee. She's been accepted. Maya jumps with joy, and Jack and Stella celebrate with her. Soon after, Jack hears from Lee Jean that his half-brothers are ready to do anything to seize control of the company. Lee Jean tells him he must return to Korea immediately. Jack says he'll come back after Maya's cooking competition, but Lee Jean warns that by then, it might be too late, that the company could be gone, and reminds him that his life and future shouldn't be neglected. Jack reassures him that he'll come as soon as possible. The next day is the first day of the competition. Maya looks nervous. She only has 1 hour before facing her first rival, and she's worried because Jack still hasn't shown up. Then she sees Chef Arif, who tells her to follow the rules of the contest. Stella steps in and explains that Maya only sold food at the hotel because she was in debt and her aunt was dying. Arif is shocked. He never knew. He scolds Maya for not telling him but adds that he would have helped her if she had. Then he encourages her, saying she's talented and will succeed. Just before the competition begins, Maya realizes her knives are missing. They've disappeared. She panics, because a chef's knives are like their weapon. She can't use someone else's tools. Then she suddenly remembers the knives her colleagues gave her as a farewell gift before she left the kitchen. And since she was used to those knives, she would be able to handle them. She asked Jack to go and bring them from her apartment. Jack quickly rushed off to get the knives and found a taxi on his way. However, the taxi driver told him that he was on a break, so Jack gave him a large sum of money in exchange for letting him drive the car himself while the driver sat beside him. The driver agreed without hesitation. At the same time, the competition began. The hosts announced that it was the International Cooking Championship, and that the winner would receive $35,000 and the title of Master Chef. We learn that Arif is one of the judges, while Stella is Maya's assistant in the competition. Maya tried using the competition's knives, but soon discovered that they weren't sharp enough and that she couldn't cut the meat properly. She insisted on trying until she finally succeeded. Then it was Stella's turn to cut the chicken, but she accidentally cut her hand, and blood dripped onto the chicken. Arif rejected the dish and ordered them to start over. That worked against them since time was limited and the task had to be completed within a short period. Maya began to feel anxious and hopeless because she couldn't use her own knives. At that moment, Jack arrived with them and handed them to her. Maya immediately began working with great speed and skill, astonishing the judges with her professional technique in cleaning and slicing the fish at an incredible pace. After the round ended, Maya was surprised to find that she had won first place among the 3 participating teams, and she was overjoyed. Afterwards, she went with Jack to check on Stella, but was shocked when the competition's management informed her that Stella was disqualified from continuing as her assistant, and that Maya needed someone else to replace her. Maya sat with Jack and told him she was thinking of withdrawing because she wouldn't be able to continue the competition alone. She needed to have an assistant by her side. Jack completely refused that idea and insisted she shouldn't quit halfway after winning first place in the first round. He decided to take the risk and become her assistant so she wouldn't have to go through it alone. The next day, Maya met a young man named Enzo at the competition. He was her neighbor and childhood friend. Enzo told her that he had heard from his sister that Maya was in a relationship with a rich Korean man from a very wealthy family, and that he was the one who paid off all her debts. Shocked by his words, Maya called her aunt to ask if the debts had truly been paid, and her aunt confirmed that Enzo's words were true. That's when Maya began to doubt Jack. Soon after, the second round of the competition began, and the task was to prepare a dish representing the culture of Southeast Asia. During the round, Maya kept glancing suspiciously at Jack. Then suddenly, as she was cutting a coconut with a knife, Jack heard the sound of the blade and was struck by a painful memory, the day his mother committed suicide. Traumatized, he broke down and ran to the bathroom, leaving Maya alone in the competition for the second time. At the end of the round, Enzo won first place. Later, Jack tried to apologize to Maya, but she lashed out at him and demanded that he tell her the truth. She asked if he was the one who had paid her debts and if he really came from a rich, famous family. Jack tried to explain and admitted that he hadn't had the courage to tell her the truth, but she walked away from him. He then decided to reveal the truth to her, telling her that his real name was John, not Jack. Later, Maya returned home to find Stella waiting for her. Maya broke down and began to cry, and Stella ran to her, trying to understand what was wrong, shocked by the depth of Maya's sorrow and collapse. At the same time, we see Jack, John, sitting lost in thought, reliving his old memories. The scene takes us back to the year 2008, in Seoul, South Korea. We see young Jack sitting with his mother. She asked him if he was nervous about their trip to another country. He told her he felt like she was running away from something. She denied it, saying they were simply going to a new place where he would learn English, make new friends, and start a different life. She told him that from now on, she would rely on him to be her strength and protection. But there was clear worry and fear on her face, as though she was hiding something. They soon arrived in the Philippines and went to their new home. Jack went up to his room while his mother's face showed deep sadness. That night, he couldn't sleep because of insomnia and overheard his mother arguing with his father on the phone. She scolded him for leaving her hiding in the Philippines as if she were a secret that needed to be hidden. She begged him to come quickly because she didn't want to stay alone with Jack for long. After hanging up, she cried bitterly, and Jack felt deep sorrow for her. The next day, the driver asked Jack if he had made any friends at school. Jack replied that his mother told him they wouldn't stay there long, so there was no need to make new friends. He then told him that his father's wife in Korea had attacked him and his mother at home, saying cruel and insulting things to them. The driver sympathized and tried to cheer him up with jokes, then took him to a restaurant to eat. That restaurant happened to belong to Maya's mother. There, young Maya appeared and invited Jack to taste the dish she had made herself. He accepted and really liked the food, which made Maya very happy. When Jack returned home, he found his mother had filled the place with flowers. He sensed that she was trying to keep herself busy to escape her sadness. In a moment of frustration, he got upset at her for insisting he eat even though he wasn't hungry. That night, feeling guilty, he went to make peace with her but couldn't find her in her room. He discovered her in the garden, crying. When he asked why, she said she was just a little sad that day. He realized it was because his father hadn't come as he promised. Jack tried to comfort her and asked if they could sleep in the same room. She thanked him for caring and told him she would never be sad again as long as he was by her side. He promised that he would always stay with her and protect her. The next day, Jack was at Maya's mother's restaurant, where Maya taught him how to peel carrots. A sweet friendship began between them. Maya told him that she dreamed of becoming a famous chef, and Jack said that he wished to make his mother happy every day so she would never feel sad again. Maya told him that if he cooked for his mother himself, she would be very happy, and she helped him prepare food for her. Jack was thrilled and brought the food he made to his mother, who was delighted and thanked him for his thoughtfulness. From that day on, Jack decided to cook something new for her every day. After a week, his friendship with Maya had grown stronger, and they spent most of their time together. His mother told him that this week had been the happiest time she had experienced in a long while. She advised him never to forget that he was a son with rights he must defend. Jack told her he wanted nothing in the world except her. Hearing that, his mother wept with deep sadness. The next day, Jack told Maya about his mother's constant sadness over his father. Maya, in turn, told him that she was also sad because her father had left them suddenly and never came back. She said she used to wait for him every day in the street, but he never returned, and she didn't understand why he had lied to her when he promised to come back. Jack tried to comfort her. Later, when Jack came home, he noticed that his mother had become quiet, distant, and deeply depressed. He tried to talk to her, but she didn't respond or even seem to notice his presence. After a while, he sat with Maya and asked her to join him at a cooking school. He told her that he would pay for her fees because he wanted to learn to cook to make his mother happy, and he wanted Maya to learn with him so she could achieve her dream of becoming a famous chef. When Jack returned home with Maya, he found that his mother had been sleeping for long hours. The housekeeper told him that his mother hadn't been herself lately. Maya suggested they help by preparing food for his mother since that was the only thing that made her happy and smile. Jack and Maya started cooking together, peeling coconuts, when they overheard the housekeeper talking to the driver, saying she had seen cuts on Jack's mother's hands and feared that she might be trying to take her own life. That night, Jack woke up to the sound of ambulance sirens and realized that his mother had committed suicide. Overcome with grief, he broke down and wept bitterly over her loss. Later, it becomes clear that his aversion to the sound of peeling coconuts is linked to the memory of the day his mother died. The next day, Jack learned that his father had requested his return to Korea. He bid farewell to the housekeeper and the driver with sadness, as he didn't want to leave them. Unfortunately, the housekeeper wasn't able to say goodbye, which saddened her greatly because she knew she would never see him again. She wondered how he could leave without saying farewell, and his mother comforted her to ease her sadness. We return to the present, where Jack is at the airport and calls Maya to speak with her. Maya's phone rings, and when she answers, she suddenly becomes tense and urges her to respond to the call. Maya feels anxious and discovers that the caller is someone from the competition committee. Both she and Stella are thrilled. When they learn that Maya has reached the final round, they are surprised, especially since Enzo had won the previous round. They check online to verify the news and discover that Enzo cheated in the competition by adding extra salt to Maya's dish. Once the officials found out, they disqualified him and allowed Maya to take his place. Stella tells Maya that this is her chance to prove she deserves to win. The following day in Korea, specifically in Seoul, Jack is at the hospital with his ailing father, who lies asleep on a bed connected to a respirator. Jack appears indifferent and unemotional about his father's condition. His father asks him if this is why he hurried to come see him before his death, mocking him by saying that nothing could ever forgive him for what happened to his mother. At that moment, Jack thinks of his mother and remembers the day she committed suicide. Meanwhile, Maya recalls her own mother and her words about cooking with emotions, that preparing food with love and care gives it a different taste and leaves an impression on everyone who tastes it. Cooking is not just preparation, it's emotions and effort from a loving heart for loved ones, friends, and family. Maya cries because she misses her mother and wishes she were there with her now. The next day, Maya meets Chef Arif, who congratulates her for reaching the final round. He tells her that she has always been one of his best and most skilled students. Maya thanks him, and he adds that the final round will be the most challenging. He advises her to stay focused, as her competitors are among the best chefs in the world. He asks if she is ready to face them, and she responds that she has nothing to lose, and since she has reached this stage, she must fight until the end. Arif promises that if she wins, He will surprise her with something she has dreamed of for a long time, as her victory will be extraordinary for everyone. He bids her farewell and leaves, and Maya feels elated, sensing that her dream is within reach. The final round begins, with Maya competing against 3 other contestants. Though she feels nervous and afraid, she manages to control her nerves to increase her chances of winning. She glances at Arif, who sits among the judges, reassuring her with his gaze. At the same time, she imagines Jack being present and feels sad that he isn't there as he usually is. Meanwhile, Jack is still at the hospital with his father, recalling the day he returned to his father's house after his mother's death. He remembers the moment he entered the house and felt alienated, especially due to the Koreans' looks in his mother's home, which made him feel unwelcome. He also recalls sitting at the table with them, where they mocked him and threw food at him. Jack collapses and addresses his father, telling him that he never needed to buy his future with money. All he needed was the sense of security and the presence of his mother. He questions his father about his mother and the guilt he felt because she endured such sorrow that she ultimately took her life, despite his desperate efforts to help her. Jack breaks down and cries. He removes the respirator to speak with his father, asking him not to repeat his mistakes and not to live his life as he did. He tells his father that the only woman he ever truly loved was his mother. His father responds angrily, revealing that his mother died alone and admits that he will never forgive himself for her death, as he caused it. He tells Jack to live his life as he sees fit, and most importantly, to be happy. Then, his father passes away. Afterward, the board members of Jack's father's companies gather, and they are informed that a vote must be held to choose someone to take over. One of the members explains that she is John's daughter and Jack's half-sister. She clarifies that after their father's 6-month illness, no one was able to manage the company, so a new meeting is needed to determine who will lead the organization and handle the current crises. The board decides to vote for the eldest brother, Jo Sung, to become the new president. No one objects, which unnerves Jack and makes him anxious. Jean asks the board members to review the candidate's administrative performance data over the past 3 years. At that moment, one of John's daughters shows Jack a video on the screen, displaying his participation in the competition with Maya, his fear and tension, and his sudden flight in Jakarta while they worked day and night to maintain the company. Jack had been unable to represent the company because he felt unqualified to bear the responsibility. One board member insists that no one vote for him, calling him reckless and irresponsible, leaving him as the sole candidate to assume his father's position. At that moment, Jack enters and apologizes for his absence over the past months. He announces his readiness to make amends for the company and take full responsibility. He continues, saying that over the 40 years since his father built the empire, his father once reminded him that he owed loyalty to the company's directors. He then speaks to Director Hyun, asking if he remembers an incident 27 years ago when his car overturned after a business trip in Germany with his father. Hyun replies that he remembers it well, because that accident is what enabled him to become a director in the company. Jack then calls Director Kim Jong to inquire about an incident 18 years ago during the construction of a coastal highway tunnel, when his father had ensured proper treatment for him until his leg healed. Kim responds that his life would have been much more difficult had his father not helped him. Jack addresses everyone, reminding them that his father treated his employees as an integral part of his companies. Meanwhile, his sister mocks him, seeing him as worthless. Jack recalls all these memories to emphasize that the arrangements previously agreed upon would remain intact, particularly since his behavior always embarrassed the family, and therefore it is certain that it would embarrass the company as well. Jacques replied to her, saying she was right, and so he decided to withdraw his nomination for the position, putting forward instead his personal assistant and his father's assistant. Everyone was shocked by his decision. He told them that Jean had been his father's right hand, a very loyal assistant who cared for the company as if it were his own. Additionally, Jean had graduated from high school and college with top honors, had held key positions in the company, and all of this was due to his skills, dedication, and focus. During crises, he was able to resolve every problem calmly and discreetly, proving himself to be an indispensable part of the company. Jack continued, saying that it was time for the company to be free of the family legacy and to allow Jean to take his rightful place and develop the companies even further. Then he surprised everyone by revealing that his father's will explicitly stated that the one to take over the position was Jean. Jack's siblings were shocked and grew extremely angry. We then returned to the competition. Every contestant had chosen to present a dish representing the civilization and culture of their country, except Maya, who decided to present something completely different and unfamiliar. Minutes passed, leaving only 10 minutes until the competition ended. The other competitors began adding their crucial finishing touches. Meanwhile, Maya focused intensely on her work to produce a precise and flawless dish. The judges were surprised that she wasn't using anything new or extravagant in her recipe compared to her competitors. For the first time, they saw a contestant using banana as the main ingredient in her dish. The minutes passed, and the time was up. The judges asked all the contestants to stop working and began tasting their dishes. When they reached Maya's dish, they asked why she had not included any meat and had used only one ingredient, banana. She explained that she wanted to use something simple that cost no more than $3. They were astonished and told her that this was a bold move for the final round. Maya explained that she wanted to prove that a dish's uniqueness does not come from the number of ingredients, but from the way it is executed. She emphasized that emotions while cooking are crucial and can transform a single ingredient into an exceptional dish. Moreover, she wanted to promote the use of local ingredients and make the most of them. The judges tasted Maya's dish and realized that it was truly remarkable. Despite its simplicity, they admired her intelligence and boldness. Soon after, we learned that Maya had won the competition. We saw her holding the prize and taking photos with it, and Stella ran over to hug her, overjoyed on her behalf. She congratulated Maya on her victory, and Maya acknowledged that she would not have reached this moment without Stella's support, though she told her not to thank her because she had truly earned the win. At the same time, Arif approached Maya to congratulate her, saying she deserved the win. He asked her to take a 1-week break and then come to his kitchen. Maya was surprised and asked what he meant. He told her that he intended to make her his assistant because he had promised her, and he had to keep that promise. Maya was overjoyed, as this position had always been her dream. However, Arif began discussing managing his kitchen, and it seemed he wanted to leverage Maya and her victory to expand his own name. Maya rejected his offer, explaining that her dream was to become head chef, not just an assistant. Arif asked her to be patient, assuring her that she still had much to learn before being ready to take on the role of head chef. Maya confidently replied that, after everything she had been through, she was certain she was capable of being head chef. She then left with Stella, leaving Arif astonished at her confidence. Afterward, Jack learned that Maya had won the competition. He was proud and happy for her. He decided to send her a voice message, asking her to listen this time and not ignore it, because he needed to talk to her and explain many things. He then called Maya and learned that she had traveled to the Philippines. We found out that Maya had received an offer to become head chef at one of the most famous restaurants in the Philippines. She was thrilled as she signed the contract, fulfilling her dream. Suddenly, at that exact moment, Maya saw a toy car approaching her, carrying flowers and a message from Jack. When she opened the message, she found that he was asking her to forgive him and meet him at the address he had written. He told her that sometimes life forces people down paths they don't want to take. He admitted that he had been wrong for lying to her and not telling her the truth from the start, and that he had deliberately stayed by her side from the beginning once he knew she worked in the kitchen. He thanked her for being the reason he confronted his past and painful memories, helping him forgive and move forward with peace and comfort. Maya was deeply moved by Jack's message. She went to meet him, and he was waiting with flowers. He apologized for lying and not telling her the truth from the beginning, and he decided to confess his love. At that moment, Maya embraced him warmly and told him she loved him too, and that his presence had been a crucial reason for her success and overcoming all challenges. Jack was overjoyed by her words, realizing she loved him as he loved her. Here we reach the end of the story. Subscribe for more.